Hello, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to today's show. My name is Lory Quackenbush. I'm with APMG International out of New York, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host today. Now, today we're discussing DTMethod. Now, this is part two of a two-part series where we're going to discuss design thinking. Now, on Monday, we talked about the secret sauce, and today we're going to get even deeper, and we're talking about real-world applications and success stories. Now, listen, if you attended both events, you stand a chance to win a great prize. Now, there'll be two main winners for a free course and six other winners for the DTMethod handbooks. Now, we will announce the winners towards the closing of today's show. So buckle up because we have a great show in store for you today. Now, don't forget, we have Alanis over in the chat, so please let us know your name and the city where you're joining. So don't forget, get involved in the chat, put your questions to the panel in the chat, and we'll answer them during the live show. Now, we have a very experienced panel today, so we'll jump right in and meet them. So first, we have Ian Clark. Now, Ian has a focus and interest in human-centered solutions and service management. Ian operates globally and has over 25 years of experience working on multiple continents and industry sectors. He has recently completed a DTMethod-based engagement with one of the largest financial service companies in the African continent. How are you, Ian?
I'm good, Lory. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us again. We appreciate it.
Looking forward to today. Looking forward to doing a bit of discussing stories and giving the audience some really good success stories and insights into how this stuff works. So
absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Ready to go.
Absolutely. Next, we have Mart Rovers. Now, Mart is the president of INTERPROM. He also works for Design Thinking Pros, a DTMethod and practice coaching and training firm. He is a DTMethod passionado, and he's eager to help more organizations in North America to also start benefiting from it. Besides his passion for DTMethod, he is a leadership coach and an accredited trainer in various areas of expertise. Hi, Mart.
Hey, Lory. Great to be back. Looking forward to this one. I found this quote, and I thought it's a good one to set the stage for today's episode from Arne van Oostrom, who once said, "Design thinking is a mindset. It's not a toolkit or a series of steps."
I like that. That's great. Really good. Really good quote. Lastly, we have Raphael Charney. Raphael is the Director of Innovation and Development at In Progress Design Lab. He is the lead author of DTMethod, which is a methodology that helps apply design thinking in organizations. He's a designer, trainer, facilitator, and consultant. And as part of his professional activity, he supports organizations in implementing change using facilitation and design thinking. So he spent many hours helping design thinking teams find the best solutions. He's created training games, development programs, motivational systems, and supported organizational change involving employee recruitment, increasing engagement, and job satisfaction. How are you?
Thank you, Lory. I'm great, thanks. I cannot wait to share experiences here with Mart and Ian. Nice to see you all.
It's going to be a great show. We had a packed house on Monday, so I think we're going to get right into our first question. And again, this is going to be very conversational, and don't forget to go ahead and submit any live questions if you want us to answer them. All right, so our very first question, is there a success story that you can share that stood out? Raphael, would you mind starting us off with this one?
Yes, of course, I would like to, because there is one story that has been refreshing to me recently, and I think I would like to talk about it. It was refreshing to me because last week there was a post on the LinkedIn about launching of a construction, and the building which will rise during this construction was partially created with the DTMethod. So the architectural project was created with using DTMethod. We have worked with the Balsen Poland. This is part of the Balsen family. Balsen is an international sweet biscuit manufacturer. They produce sweets which are known all over the world, such as Heat or Leibniz. Their challenge during the DTMethod was to design a new building to be built and put into use for their employees. And during the process, teams conducted stakeholder research, analyzed the research results, created prototypes which they tested, and proposed solutions. These proposals was passed on to the architects, and the architects adapted the construction project to their needs. What was unique about this design thinking process, about this process, was the scale, because there was a lot of DT designers, almost 30 of them. So we created 6 DT teams, and each team focused on different stakeholders, and they came up with the best solutions for these groups of stakeholders. Each DT team created their prototypes of solutions that addressed the needs of these groups of stakeholders. Some proposals were compatible with each other, but not all of them. Some of them weren't compatible at all. And this is where place of the DT sponsor, who was a project manager in the whole project, who was deciding which parts of each solutions of each of the solution would be included in the final project product. The teams developed 6 prototypes, so there was a lot of proposals during this DTMethod process, and each of these stressed the most important stakeholders' needs, and project manager and steering committee agreed to a very big part of these proposals. The steering committee didn't agree to all of this, but it is okay, because the sponsor does not have to agree to everything what is designed by the DT designers. So some proposals couldn't be taken into account because of time, some because of the costs. Some of them wasn't feasible to implement as well. Mm-hmm. So it is typical for design thinking that some parts of proposed solution aren't able to implement, but a lot of these parts were implemented in the final product project. The most important thing in this story was that the steering committee, project manager, made their decisions consciously, and that consciousness, how their decisions impact the stakeholder, was very important in this project. That a lot of employees was engaged in the process of developing solution, so they knew exactly what and why people needed, and the project was targeted not only on building a building, but on the employees, on the needs of employees as well. As I said at the beginning, the previous week there was a post on the LinkedIn that the construction had launched, and unfortunately, I don't know how much of the proposed through the design thinking process ideas were implemented into the architect's final proposals, but I hope it will be a great place supporting not only business processes, but also people's needs.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that what you said, the why and the what. Yeah. Ian, did you want to share a success story?
I'm afraid to now, because that was compelling.
I'm sorry.
Really good one.
I'm sitting here now thinking, how do I match that? Okay. So yeah, I did.
It's not like this is live.
Hey, no. I mean, so let's just go with it. So we when I say we, as Fox IT, we partnered with a company to work with a financial services um, organization, a very large one on the African continent, probably the largest actually. And the context, the backstory to this was every year they do a kind of an employee survey that is very focused on the almost cultural behavioral aspects that this particular organization are looking to sustain or achieve from primarily a staff behavior and management behavior perspective. And during the survey there were four main areas that came out that they were kind of below the baseline. They were the key challenges, the problems that the organization were looking to try and figure out ways to we use the term shift the dial. So to improve the response on the survey, to improve the feedback from the employees about these particular cultural aspects that were not um, kind of aligned or being achieved as the company wanted. So we tailored the DT method. And I think that is probably one of the beautiful things about the DT method, as Rafael has mentioned in the previous episode, that it's a very structured approach, a methodology that you can follow to really come up with world-class ideas and solutions to solve real-life problems and challenges. And it's customizable. So, we had literally half a day of time to get the leadership teams through these workshops. And we use certain DT tools to literally take these four challenges, which were focused on things like leadership, role modeling, diversity and inclusion. How do we be better at innovation? And over 13 sessions, we had over 300 leadership and management individuals. So on average, you could say we had about 30 to 40 per session. And what we did was we put them into four groups, and each group we spent time with talking about the particular challenges. Like I said, innovation, support, diversity, and inclusion. We spent probably about an hour just discussing what it means in the context of this organization and why they believe that these issues exist. And even to some extent, do they all understand the definition of what this company is looking for?
Yeah.
So we really spent a bit of time unpacking these things. And then we got stuck in with the DT tools. So to not labor the point too much, challenge tree. So we put a challenge tree together for each of these particular problems or challenges, which obviously enable the teams to identify and discuss, collaborate, share stories, observations, data about where they felt that the causes were and how these causes were playing out in the organization. And then we rotated everybody. So the teams of 10, say, each got, I don't know, 10 minutes on each tree. So we rotated them around the room. So we kept it very lively and engaging. 6-3-5 method next. So then we took the challenge tree, and then they literally had 5 minutes to create 3 ideas, about how they could potentially solve or, think ideas to help the situation. So we did another round of that, and then we did some prioritization, and let's call it categorization almost, with the now, how, wow matrix. So we actually put together a now, how, wow matrix. So they started to plot all their ideas onto the now, how, wow, did some dot voting, which ones they felt were more likely to work. And then right at the end of the day, the top voted idea actually got nominated for what we term in DT method as a build, break, and repair. So that is where the teams get together and actually start to get into the detail of, okay, well, what do we need to do to make this solution work? So in the last episode, we talked about work breakdown structures for projects. So they literally almost were, here's the beginning action items of a potential solution that we have all kind of started initially diverging and then converging on the one or two ideas that we think are really going to work in our organization.
Mhm.
And they created that. We just facilitated the session for them. So to give you some stats, this is about success stories. So over 300 people attended the sessions. Just over 150 actionable ideas were generated from the 13 sessions.
Mm.
Literally across the now, things they could do immediately, how, things they need to work on a little bit more to figure out what needs to be done, and the wow. Literally the things that they could immediately do almost that would add a lot of value, straight back in the office. So they were split across those three categories. The big one for me was at the end of the day, they did a kind of feedback survey on how they'd experienced the techniques and the tools and the session. And we got a NPS, Net Promoter Score. I'm sure many people have heard of that. The likelihood of you almost literally suggesting that someone else does this session, was 93.6,
Oh.
which is extremely high. So nearly everyone in the sessions got huge value from going through those particular tools and techniques, and literally is a collective, collaboratively putting together ideas that they had created
Right.
and thought would work in their environment. And they are being presented to Exco the first week of September, which is next week. And the Exco at this particular organization are obviously going to look at potentially selecting some of those kind of high priority ideas, or literally, kicking off projects that are going to literally result in solutions being implemented around what we achieved in the session. So was it the full DT method? Nope. But we use the tools and techniques in the DT method to put together this approach, which was extremely effective for this organization. And, in the future, we can see nothing but tangible value coming out of those
Yeah.
solutions that they're going to work on. So, yeah,
That's a good one.
there's a real life kind of success
Yeah.
story, from a client we literally finished with about 3-4 weeks ago.
That's fantastic. And I love stats. So I think that's wonderful. Love it. Really, really good stuff, guys. Thank you. Raphael, did you want to, I think we have time to add one more. Did you want to throw one more into the conversation?
Of course, I would. I will keep it short now because I see that we are running with time very fast. So we cooperated with the company named Grand Parade. It's part of Evoke, previously William Hill. This is one of the largest sports betting companies in the world. And we were collaborating. Ian inspired me with this example because we were collaborating with their human resources department. The head of HR expected the DT teams to come up with something to strengthen their culture in multicultural aspect and diversity aspect.
Mhm.
And they wanted to find something that will strengthen up this part of the organizational culture. It was good. It wasn't challenged that there's something wrong with this area. They just wanted to get better. And that was a challenge for everyone, because if something works great, why should we change anything if it
Right.
works great? But they wanted, and it was really, really great. So during the DT methods, DT designers found really fantastic solutions which answered the needs of of their employees and people who work in the organization. I'll give you an example that there was a family sightseeing of Krakow because their office is in Krakow in Poland. So they started to organize the picnics and sightseeing with their employees and families of these employees. Or they developed a multicultural library. Everyone could order a book which should be a part of this library, because this book shows how and why representatives of each culture from the world behaves, and it was this kind of proof. Or local body, a person who voluntarily help new employees in finding their place in Krakow when the employee moves to the city. So,
wow, that's good stuff. Fantastic. These are really good stories. This is why we're having this deeper dive today, to really kind of, get into the nitty gritty and see, how people are actually using and implementing DTMethod. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I think, Lory, sorry, I think
you-
it's just a pertinent thing to note that if you look at the stories that we've shared so far, they're all different themes, different industries. One's about improvement, one's about culture, one's about a building. And I think that's one of the main things I want to get across to many people. You sort of hear this phrase design thinking, and you just think architecture and
right.
designing some kind of front end system, and it's really not about that. It's
Right.
kind of I need to improve here, or I've got a challenge I need to try and solve, or I've got an issue that I need help with, and it could be about anything in any aspect of the business. And these DT thinking and the mindset and the approach that the methods put together really do help in a very collaborative, engaging way. So I'd really try and like to bust this myth of it's about this specific industry or this specific it's about tech. It's not about tech. It
Right.
could be about anything.
That's a
Mark,
really
you've
good
got something
point.
to add there as well.
Yep.
Sorry.
Mark, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, just quickly, and then I'll let you move on to the next question.
That's fine.
There are several success stories on our website, designthinkingpros.com. So if you need more success stories that are out there, and I fully agree with what Ian just mentioned. Just to emphasize on that point, I went on Indeed.com, a job search website, and guess what? Even and with all respect, I say this, administrative assistants are asked to have design thinking experience or some sort of certification. It's amazing, as
I
in
didn't
it
know
pops
that.
up everywhere. Yeah, I know, it's crazy in a
Wow.
good way.
That's a really good point. Really good stuff, guys. All right, should we move forward? I know we've got a lot to cover still. Okay, our next question is, what is a typical response or feedback you receive after participants start using the DTMethod tool? Mart?
Typically, one of the things that stands out the most is it's referred to as empathy, as far as the DT teams, how they get a so much better perspective of what's really happening in the world out there. The real world stories that they capture and pick up from the stakeholders for who they're figuring out these solutions. The connection they feel with these people, the relationships they build with the stakeholders, and in return, how the stakeholders notice that they feel more engaged, and they end up with solutions that help their satisfaction levels. So that to me always stands out.
Yep. That's good. Great stuff. Ian, did you want to add?
Yeah, just quickly, I think, based on my experience with the DT method, a lot of the guys who have experienced it, where do I get more? Can you teach me how to use these things? Why have we not been doing this? It makes so much sense. And I think the biggest thing out of all is, the people you engage with feel part of the process, and they feel that they're, the empathetic aspect of it is they're doing it for either themselves or for a particular group of stakeholders who are also involved. So it's very human centered. Human centric is the kind of the phrase I use. So they're generally the kind of feedback that we've been getting so far. But above all and else, definitely the engagement, the collaboration, and where have these tools and techniques been all my life? Kind of,
Right.
you know,
Right.
feedback.
Mind blown, right?
Yeah,
Where did this
exactly.
come from?
Oh, boom.
Yeah. Raphael, did you want to add?
Yes, because uh, quite often I hear that people, designers, are proud that they generated a very large number of ideas, but it's not very often. But one insight which really stands in my mind was that once one of the DT designer told me that DT method showed him that even an introvert can be engaged during the meetings and can participate in creative sessions, can generate ideas with extroverts, which wasn't so obvious for him till he started participating in the DT method. So that's one thing which I wanted to add, because it was very nice hearing from him.
Yeah. That's really good feedback. Really good feedback. All right, we're going to move this along, guys, just for sake of time, because we do have some live questions coming in too. So we're going to try to get to everything if possible. All right, so our next question is what skills are helpful to possess already when embarking on design thinking methodology such as DT method? Mart, did you want to start us off with this?
Yeah, absolutely. The immediate one that comes to mind is problem-solving techniques. And again, DT method has a few tools for us in store for that, to structure this. So that's helpful, of course. Also, maybe not so much a skill, but what is built into DT method is, not everything that you come up with is perfect,
Right.
and that's okay. And that's okay. It's not about everything has to be perfect. So this sense of, or this relief almost, that you don't have to be perfect, and it's okay to quote, fail. That's kind of harsh way of expressing it. But it creates this confidence level, as in, it's all good as long as, it's all about the collaboration. It's that mind shift, so that mindset, as in, being open-minded and being that, getting the creative juices going, being more innovative, all that, excitement. And again, it's maybe not a skill, but it's those feelings definitely, develop and come to the surface.
Yeah, that's great. Great stuff. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll just add to what Mart's saying. Ability to engage with stakeholders, like organizational change, management techniques, anything human centered, your ability to work with, facilitate, and collaborate with other people certainly helps. Creative thinking, without a shadow of a doubt. We did a few exercises with the guys in creative thinking in the example I just gave, just to warm up, their ability to think very laterally and get extremely creative. And I think systems thinking also tends to help. I mean, I think I mentioned in part one, I kind of put up the McKinsey 7S model and talked
Yeah.
about that briefly with the guys to get them to think about how everything integrates and interrelates. So yeah, that kind of mindset is probably, it's not really a skill. It's just that kind of attitude and mindset
Yeah.
entering into the DT method certainly helps.
That's really great. Raphael, did you want to mention something too?
Sure. In my point of view, one of the key competence is communication and communication skill, because DT designers work together and they should work effectively. So if they should work effectively, they need to communicate openly, directly, with respect and care for each other. And this is very important to have this skill when you participate not only DTMethod workshops, but when you collaborate with other people in your team. Assertiveness is needed, but also willingness to find agreement is very important during the design thinking processes. So the competence of communication is useful in each phase in the DT method, the exploration phase, creative phase, construction phase.
Yeah. Great stuff. Great stuff. I know we've got a lot of live questions coming in. We're going to try to get to everything, folks. Okay. Next question, and we'll kind of speed this up, guys, so we can get through everything. And don't forget, we have our winners to announce too, which is very exciting. Okay. Next question. What are the typical challenges organizations are facing when applying design thinking? Who wants to take this one? All right, Rafael, what do you think?
So, in my opinion, there are no typical challenges for DT methods because
good point.
because
nothing's typical.
We worked with challenges which were described by human resources departments. We had construction challenges. We worked with IT teams on products and on development processes. So on the both sides of IT. Even a conference was designed using the DT method once. So I cannot find this something which will say only here DT method fits. Right. We worked with logistics industry, IT, manufacturing, consulting, insurance. So we have a lot of sectors are using design thinking, and design thinking and DT method can help them in solving their challenges.
Yeah. Ian, you want to add?
Just very quickly, I mean, it's a common problem that's been around forever and a day, in my opinion anyway. So we don't have time. So typically, most companies are in operational, I've got work to do, firefighting mode, and anything outside of that is kind of a luxury. So that's the challenge. You know, they see the benefit most of the time. You take them through how it works. We get it. Trying to get people out and spend the right amount of time on following the method and getting the good result is the challenge. And I mean, that's what I've seen, you know, in my experience anyway, unfortunately.
Good point. Follow the method. Mart, what do you think?
Very good points made so far, indeed. Time constraints, sometimes there's leadership support that's not there from the beginning. Also, when the user story surface or the data comes to the surface as far as possible ideas, people may feel overwhelmed by the amount of information, data that comes at them. Not everybody is used to that. But over time, what I've experienced is that all that almost evaporates when the others pick up on the excitement levels. All of a sudden, and then there is time, and all of a sudden there is leadership backing.
Right.
So it's a matter of giving it give it a chance, and then it will run on its own almost.
Right. And the proof is in the pudding. It'll just work on its own. It's good stuff.
Just Lory, just quickly, last thing on that. Sorry.
For it. Don't be sorry. We're live. Go ahead.
DT method is a problem-solving approach. So there are many companies out there that, we do problem solving, we do problem management, we do Kepner and Ferry, and we do, fishbone analysis, and. DT method is a problem management kind of methodology as well. So you've got time to do problem management, but you don't have time to do the DT method. It's the same thing. In
Right.
fact, I would argue DT method is way more effective. So, that's the challenge I'd like to put to people out there. You have problem root cause techniques out there that you currently use. Give the DT method a go. The result will speak for itself without a doubt.
Yeah. It's like you got the problem solved anyway. Might as well use a method that actually is more efficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're moving to some live questions. We're going to try to get to everybody. Our next question is plan, build, run, improve. Where do you find most success stories, and how does DT method differ in the phases?
Ooh.
Raphael, we're going to put you in the hot seat. What do you think?
Oh, me first. Okay.
You first.
So I'll start I'll start with one, and it's not so obvious. I will choose improve. I will choose improve because when we have a product, when we have a service, when we have a process, we can improve it using design thinking and DT method. Not only to create something new, not only to find something completely innovate, but also when we want to improve our processes, products, services, DT method perfectly fit in the typical order of exploration phase, creative phase, and construction phase.
Good stuff. Improve. I like that. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely look. The reality is it could happen all across all four, as we talked about on Monday. But plan most definitely, and it seems to be done more robustly from a plan point of view. So plan strategy. What can we do to outperform competitors using design thinking to try and ideate solutions? People tend to follow the method quite almost methodically almost. They go through each phase bit by bit. In run and improve, where a lot of it happens, it's almost the diluted version of the DT method in my experience, like I explained earlier. The half day, what can we do quickly to generate ideas? So that's how it differs. Plan, run, and improve mainly from my perspective.
Good stuff. Mart, what do you think?
Just quickly, one comment. It's more of a matter of remind yourself that you can use DT method in all four phases. Sometimes we tend to forget that the DT method is out there. Have something on the wall that says, okay, think about DT method or something. As in you can use it all the time. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Remind us. Good stuff, guys. All right, we're going to keep moving as fast as we can through these live questions. The next question is from Guy. Knowing the theory is one thing, but teaching it and applying it is another level. So how would you suggest we go about delivering the first training event and the first consulting engagement? Who's brave? Let's take on it. Mart?
A lot to unravel here, but I would say,
Good question,
prepare really well. Know what you're talking about because once you start teaching it, that's actually one of the highest levels of you possessing or owning up to the skill and practicing it.
Right.
So yeah, prepare really, really well, and do your homework, do your research before you actually show up. Have your stories ready. People want to hear stories, so it's not a matter of just read the book and then I'm ready. It's more than that.
Right. I like that. You got it. Really digging deep.
Yep.
What do you think, Ian? Did you want to add to this?
Yeah, very quickly. Do the consulting first. Training is only really effective if the person facilitating and providing that, if you want to use the word training, coaching, has the experience, has the war stories, has got the little scars, to show that, these are the little nuances with any method actually, whether it be DT method or something else. So, if you're going to do training with a company, make sure you I understand who is doing this training for me. I want to know their experience. Have they done it before?
Right.
Because doing consulting and coaching first is going to make you a far better coach and trainer, facilitator than doing it vice versa.
Yeah.
But I think Guy already knows that.
Good point. Good point. All
Okay,
right.
there's my 10 cents.
All right. What's your 10 cents?
No, that's my 10 cents.
That's your 10 cents. All right. Our next question. Okay. So, what are success factors to take into account to best benefit from design thinking? Raphael, you're quiet over there.
Okay.
I just put you
Thank
on
you,
the
Lory.
spot. Come on.
Thank you very much, Lory. Okay, so one of the most influential factors which I have in mind is strong DT sponsor.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
the DT sponsor is the one on who the whole process depends.
Right.
Because the DT sponsor defines the challenge, appoints the team, the DT sponsor accepts the solution which was developed by the DT team. So must provide DT designers with the time and space to work. A lot of things the DT sponsor must do to make all of this work. Of course, DT facilitator supports it, DT sponsor in all of this, but the DT sponsor must have the possibility of doing all of these things. We had an unpleasant experience when the DT designers didn't listen or care about the DT sponsors' opinions.
Right.
And sometimes the reactions of DT designers were completely out of place. For example, when asked by the DT sponsor to provide him prototypes for the specific date, one of the DT designers responded with a short no. And there was no justification, no attempt to find another date, to explain anything to the DT sponsor. So it was crazy because I was DT facilitator there, and I had very big question mark in my head what to do next. So the DT sponsor must have authority among the DT designers and must be empowered enough in the organization to run the process.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's great. Mark, what do you think?
Actually, Rafael touched on that. There could be cultural challenges going on within that organization. One may not like the other one. So success factors definitely, to break through these, cultural barriers or silos. So that brings me to the cross-functional collaboration that needs to happen. Definitely a success factor. You don't want to have, one kind of people in the room, right? In all these sessions, you want to have them represented from across the organization. To get the best perspectives and the best ideas to come to surface. Because if you limit yourself to one type of participants with only one type of background, you can only expect so much. So
Right.
that cross-functional collaboration is really critical.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Yeah. Raphael, did you want to quickly add to this, and we'll try to get to some more questions?
Yes, because Mart told about organizational culture, I will just point another aspect. Design thinking is an approach in which DT designers often work by trial and error. And based on this trial and error, they learn and come up with better and better solutions. For the designers, it is important that they feel safe during the design thinking process, so they can make mistakes, they can make some errors, and if they are not allowed to that, they are afraid in experimenting, in
Right.
creating prototypes. They don't engage in stakeholders research. They don't want to speak out loud their ideas because they are afraid. So this is
Right.
another thing about the culture.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Providing a safe place, right? We want to feel like we can speak our minds. Okay, next question. Here, can you give some examples of organizations that have successfully used DT method and how? Who wants to tackle this one? Ian?
Already covered.
You were first. We did already cover.
Yeah, we've looked, I think between the three of us, we've given several examples.
Lots of examples, yeah.
Organizations that have used it successfully. I think we've given insight into the different ways that the DT method has been applied, the different industries that it's been used for. So yeah, I think we've hopefully covered
I think you
that.
pretty covered it.
Yeah,
Mark,
definitely.
did we leave anything out, Mark? Got his hand up.
I just want to mention that the big boys, so to speak, they're quite familiar with applying design thinking, DT methods. You don't see it, I think, and I'm doing a broad brush here, too much in the mid markets yet. And I think there's a huge opportunities for those organizations. Yeah, I definitely will not mention company names because of confidential reasons. But yes, so definitely, you'll see lots of stories for the big name organizations. I think that it's time that also the rest of the world picks up on this.
Yeah, I agree. Timing's right. Raphael, did you want to add quickly to this?
One thing only. On the dtmethod.com website and on the website of the DT methods at the APMG portal, you can find some case studies from the real case studies, so you can find the names of companies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, don't forget, go to the website, check it all out, check out the case studies. Okay, I think we have time for one more question, guys. And the next question is, how do I get started with DT method? Ian?
You're on a training course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
free ones coming
that's an
up.
obvious answer, isn't it? So, yeah, I think do the research. I mean,
Right.
Raphael and the guys have put together a very, beautifully written DT method, guide book that I know we're giving some copies out at the end of the show. And I will emphasize that if you are really serious about creating a culture of improvement and innovation in a safe, collaborative way, then get a team together. Get a good company to come and facilitate and take you through the method, and get to understand it and how it works, and give it a go. I mean, like
Right.
Raphael said, I mean, having safety is very important to allow people to try things, and that includes trying the DT method. And I would really encourage everybody to take those kind of approaches when it comes to understanding.
Absolutely. Mark, what do you think?
Well, you have three people on this show that are very passionate about this. They also put forward, I think, very informative websites, and we all have blogs on it. So if you want to start there, of course, blogs are free. Doesn't cost you a thing. So do some research that way. And indeed, the book is a very good read. And then, if budget allows, indeed, absolutely, training would be a first step.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, that's. Oh, did you want to add?
I
Sorry,
will just
Raphael.
add one thing
Sorry,
because there are three courses of DT method. We have DT method foundation, DT method professional, and DT method facilitator. So start with foundation. Start with foundation.
Crawl before you walk, right? Ian, I didn't miss you.
Yeah, it's me coming in at the kind of the back end of this. And soon to be released ambassadors. So the DT method guys are nominating certain people from around the world to be ambassadors for the DT method. So, yeah, as those start to be formed and communicated, then you could quite easily reach out to an ambassador for advice, guidance.
Right.
Where can I get, information from, etc., etc., etc. So there will be an ambassador network, I believe, Rafael. Correct?
That's correct. We are working on that. Thank you very much for mentioning
Coming
that,
down the
Ian.
pipeline. Good timing.
There you go.
Yes. Thanks.
More to come on that, guys. All right, so now we're going to talk about our competition winners, which is super, super exciting. All right, so as you know, we have 2 winners for the free course and 6 for the book. So congratulations. So for the free course and certification exam, I'm going to try not to butcher these names, Murtaza Ismailji and Joe Del Colo, congratulations. You just won yourself a free course and a certification exam. So that is fantastic. And then free DT method books to Candace. I'm just going to do the first names, guys. Candace, Mark, Paul, Dina, Karen Louise, and Nick. So congratulations, everyone, for joining us on both events and getting your names drawn to win these great prizes. We really appreciate it. All right, and just to wrap it up, hang on one second, guys. All right, so we really want to thank everybody for joining today's show and for sticking with us for not 1 but 2 different events. And thank you so much to our producers. Thanks for all the great questions. Thank you, obviously, to the panelists, because we couldn't do this without you. Now let's kind of get into some closing remarks. Raphael, we'll start with you since this is your child.
It was thank you, Lory, again. It was great pleasure spending time with you, and thank you very much, Lory, Mart, Ian, for being here and discussing our experiences and thoughts about DT method. For me, it was also very insightful. So now is a weekend, so I will sit and make some notes from the meetings, from these meetings and events, to make sure that I will not lose anything. Thank you very much for everyone who participated today or on both our parts, and have a great weekend.
Long weekend for us here in the States. Ian, Africa, what did you think about today's show? Well, the last 2, I guess.
Yeah, they were awesome. I really
awesome.
thoroughly enjoyed them. I think, obviously, again, APMG did a great job hosting, and yourself, Lory, for taking us through it quite
Sure.
smoothly.
You guys make it easy.
Well, you also make it easy. With Nigel and the guys in the background, running the things, and obviously the Mart and Rafael, great kind of colleagues, and again, passionate about the subject matter. And congrats to Rafael and the guys at In Progress Design Lab, because I'll be honest with you, it's one of the few methods or frameworks I've picked up and become extremely enthusiastic about. So I just see great things, and I think congrats to the guys there for creating the DT method. It really is it's a fantastic piece of work, and really will make a difference to companies, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and we'll just say we're very excited about it here at APMG.
Absolutely,
It's going to be huge for us. Huge. Mart, what do you think?
I ditto everything that was said. Indeed, APMG, great job again as usual. You're the pros when it comes to putting these events together. So thank you for that. And I want to thank the audience for some fantastic questions and the level of engagement. Without the audience, we would never have these types of shows.
It's true.
It's all about the questions. So one takeaway for me is another quote from Albert Einstein, hopefully something that we can all benefit from. He once said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun."
Love that.
It's about
That's
fun.
good. Love that.
That's nice.
That's good
King
stuff.
of quotes strikes again.
He's a king of quotes. Love it. I love
Like the Elvis Presley of quotes.
I will agree with you, Mart. We had, again, these last 2 shows, I mean, the amount of engagement, live questions we had, I mean, we couldn't get to everything, so apologies for that. But thank you so much for everybody who participated. Just such really, really good content, really good stuff. And stay tuned for more. And also, just to kind of wrap up, don't forget on our website, you can find the answers for over 3,000 questions, which is a comprehensive and a free resource. So this is going to connect with you over 200 experts from all around the globe. And don't forget, you can also listen to the audio versions of these shows on your preferred podcast platform. And don't forget to go ahead and take a moment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It doesn't cost you anything or help other folks, discover our content. And then stay tuned for upcoming events. So Tuesday, September 17th, we have the USM Revolution, which is Service Management, Architecture, and System. And then Thursday, the 19th, we have the Neuroscience for Change at Work. All these details are on apmginternational.com. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to the audience. And we'll see everybody on the next show. Thanks so much. Have a great long weekend for those in the States. Take care.